bought a franchise. We bought a franchise. We bought a franchise.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the We Bought a Franchise podcast. I'm Jack Johnson.
I'm Jill Johnson.
And we have an incredible guest today. We have Tim Doherty. Is that how I say the last name?
You got it.
Jill and I had a big debate before the podcast started. I was like, is it like Daughtry like the singer or Doherty like the actress? So glad to have you, Tim. You guys were in for such a treat. Tim has such an incredible story. He's got an incredible brand, Project Lean Nation. And of course, we have our consultant, Catherine Allen, who brought us this opportunity, who told us we absolutely had to put this on the podcast. So Tim, welcome to the show. We would just love it if you would give us an overview of you and Project Lean Nation.
Sure. It's a long story, but first I want to say thank you so much for having me here. Long-time fitness guy, always, fitness has always been an anchor in my life. Growing up, I had a challenging kind of run at things. And I think fitness was kind of the thing that saved my life. Like half my friends went one way and half went to the gym. And fortunately, I ended up on the gym side. And I'll save you all the details, but early in my life, I had a financial career. So I raised money for public companies and I came from limited means. So it was like the dream. And I was around all these guys. They were doing big things. They had all the cool stuff I wish I could have. And they actually said all the right things. They said, you're going to be great at this. And I just worked day and night for them. And they were right. In a couple of years, I had a big house, a beautiful wife, a couple children, Porsche in the garage, boat at the dock. But I was still felt incredibly empty. I was in a business where for me to win, somebody had to be in a position to lose. And kind of the crazy part of this story is in 2008, the FBI showed up in my office and they walked in like they were stopping in for a coffee. But really what they did is they informed me that I was part of a investigation. I wasn't the target. I was just a subject. And ultimately they said, if I cooperated against my greatest friends, the only people that ever believed in me, then I would be free to go. And I chose not to, but with that decision, they sentenced me to 3 years in federal prison. And I was away from my kids, my wife, and it was tough. It was a tough ride.
This is like something out of a movie.
It's like saying like Wolf of Wall Street to me in a way. Like,
well, I came home. I assumed everything would be perfect, and it wasn't. It was a mess. And I was probably unemployable. I had a lot going on in my life, but I just went back to what was my first anchor, was the gym. And right away, I did have a group of people in my life that like were rooting for me, and they had challenges. They wanted to get healthy. They wanted to get in shape. And a friend of mine, patient zero, Sam, asked if I would work out with him, if I would train him. And that's not something I did, but I started to do that. And what's interesting was when I came home, I had all this shame, but showing up for Sam kind of started to make me feel something. And then the next question is, it became the nutrition. And ultimately, lots of people in my life, people I loved, were struggling with their health. And it mostly boiled down to food. And just to take a step back, since I was 24 years old, I always made these 30 meals for myself every week. And I wanted to look better, feel better, perform better. And looking back, I'm 47 now. Looking back at 24, I probably didn't have much control over anything in my life. So I just probably loved the control of that. And my friend asked me to make his food. Of course, I told him no, because I thought I was like above it and below it all at the same time. But the next time he asked, I made his meals and I brought him to his house. And then that spread throughout my whole community. I didn't have customers. I had believers. They were like, I was showing up for them and they were rooting for me. And that became the foundation of this whole thing.
I love that. Tim, there's so much to dive into here, but when you first talked about, one group of friends went this way with exercise and one didn't. We went for a walk with our son, Trey, the other night. We had a little bit of a miscommunication on homework, and needless to say, he was very upset. So we go for a family walk virtually every night, wouldn't you say? And at the end of that walk, we walked a little extra that night. And I said to him, do you notice something? After we'd gone about 2 miles, I'm like, you feel better? He's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, well, that's because you're out exercising. You're moving your body. You're producing endorphins. I'm like, I want you to remember this anytime in the future where you're feeling stressed out, worried, go for a walk. If you're angry, get in the gym and lift weights. I, like you, believe fitness can be such an answer to so many things, along with nutrition. So we're so happy to have you here today. There's so many questions. Where should we begin?
I mean, I guess, can you tell us a little bit about Project Lean Nation? So we know obviously there, but what is the concept?
I can share it with you. So from that point on, when I started delivering meals out of my station wagon, I just kept showing up. And I just want to share that it felt like there's something bigger at work here, because every resource I would have ever needed to do this just showed up into my life. And there's been lots of change. I've been working on it for over a dozen years. But today, you have your factors and your trifectas of the world, and they do an incredible job of putting a box of food on your doorstep. But that's kind of where they stop. But that's where we begin. So we try to be everything beyond the meal. So support, education, coaching, accountability, and we use a piece of technology that takes like daily intentions and turns them into measurable wins. And of course, we have chef prepared, dietitian approved, amazing meals. So we built a 35,000 square foot manufacturing facility, which is a long stretch from my garage. But our goal as a company is to be everything beyond the meal. So we believe everybody's going to have a healthy meal at some point, but we create these stores that are, essentially the healthy hub of the community. And when I started, I thought it was going to be like fitness guys and all this, but really it's just general population. And the work is in supporting people and creating a unique relationship with them, because it's easy to quit a box of food on your doorstep, but it's more difficult to give up on yourself when somebody else is invested in your journey.
I love it. And do you know what Jumpstart MD is, Tim?
No, educate me.
Okay, so Jumpstart MD, it's in this area. It's in San Francisco. I don't know if it's a California thing. I'm not quite sure, but they have multiple locations. I've gone for probably a year and a half. I go in person, and it's for overall health, weight loss, things like that. I do the InBody scan, just like you guys do. So when you guys had that, I was like, oh, I know this well. The InBody scan. And then the way they do it is you have these like little boxes of like what you're supposed to have in terms of carbs and all the things. And then they suggest meals. And they have a supplement part of it too. But so one, I've been going for over a year and a half. It's a monthly membership. I love the accountability. I've made great relationships. I love the people that I get to see there once a month. Where it falls short, and I think where you guys win, is having the meals made. Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I have to go into this app and they're telling me what the meals are, but I still have to grocery shop. I still have to prepare the meals. And as a very busy mom of young kids, and, I'm doing consulting, I have my own franchise business. Like the meal prep, it takes time. And so I just love that you have that part of it. And I would love you to speak to, because I know you talked to the direct to consumer. And when I first heard about your concept, I was thinking of the HelloFresh and the Factor, but speak to like the customer stickiness a little bit more. 3 times, right? When you're coming in.
Yeah, of course. So, for one of the things that's unique about our business compared to their business is, well, one of the benefits of these direct to consumers is they're like flooding the market with ads talking about this type of model and service. So that's beneficial to us. But one of the things that's unique about what we do is we can create community partners. So whether it's a spa, a gym, or whatever, so our cost per acquisition is very low. So when we get people in, we have a system, and we don't want to train our people to be like salespeople. We want to solve, not sell. And that all begins with a relationship. So we've operationalized that whole process of bringing somebody into what we call lean consultation. We incorporate the technology. And I think that it's really important that I share that we meet everybody with empathy and compassion for where they are. So if they want to lose weight, if they want to gain muscle, if they're on a medical weight loss strategy. So we meet them where they are, and we take them through a process that essentially prescribes them a strategy, and we meet them where they are. If they say they have their breakfast is fine, then we accommodate that. And in terms of the meals, that's always been an evolution. And what we learned is that people really want to have a healthy version of what they want to eat on the weekends, right? So we really had to make the food not only palatable and taste amazing, but it has to be science-backed. So we have a dietitian that audits everything we do. And I think it's the touch points. And in our business, how we measure a member experience is we've identified about 5 key things that have to happen in the first 30 days. and we execute on them. But that also allows our partners to make sure that their employees are executing on the model. And all the things are surrounded by a relationship. So it's a consultation, a follow-up consultation, 2 coaching calls, and 2 fulfillments. And if we do that, we have like a 4x lifetime value than a direct-to-consumer company.
So Tim, just to be clear, even if I don't have a background in this and I want to bring this to my town, this is a franchise I can own, and I can deliver healthy meals, shakes, protein balls, all of this in a retail environment as well as delivered to the home. Is that, do I have that right?
100%. So most people aren't like just standing in line to jump into the food business because of the complexities of the kitchen. We remove all of that. So we have centralized manufacturing. So they're stepping into the, if they have a heart to serve their community and health is important to them, they're not going to be in the food business. They're going to be in the reoccurring revenue business, supporting the health of their community.
I can tell you're a financial guy by the way you said that, because so it's funny when I talk to people, what do you guys do at Franchise Insiders? We really do a couple of things really well. 1, we help people identify franchise ownership's right for them. 2, what franchise fits. And then 3, we coach them. And then 4, if one day they build a business with an EBITDA north of $1 million, we can introduce them to capital partners who can help them to recapitalize or even exit. And so the way that you said that, our friends in that world love recurring revenue. Yeah. They love businesses that are not going to be impacted by what's going on in Tehran or the world. And so what you've built here, this focus now on health, wellness, longevity, eating healthier, working out more, it attracts such a very sort of an investor who is willing to pay for it, right? Like I want to live a long, happy, healthy life. So if that means I need to be more focused on my breakfast and my lunch so I can eat what I want at dinner, this is a perfect solution.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that never before has health been more top of mind. I think COVID really exposed the kind of challenges that we're facing in our country. Plus our country, 75% of our people are either classified as obese or overweight. And the more troubling statistic is 1 in 5 of our children, right? So we see this as the ability to kind of supplement the family and try to create some more healthy habits. And I can also share this, like about 60% of our member base are women. And if the mom is exercising healthy habits, it just has a way to just have a ripple effect on the whole family.
So as a customer, how does it work? Do you have to set up a membership? Can I walk in and buy whatever I want? Do I come in and get a week's worth? Like if I were to walk in right now, what would my experience be?
100%. So we have a couple different ways that we acquire clients, some online and some in person. But if you walked into this store, you would be met with what we would call an educator. And the first thing we're trying to do, so like we have a low barrier of entry because we have retail. So we have shakes and meals and supplements, right? So you're not going to feel like pressured to step into some type of membership on day one. But if you came in and
grab a shake.
Yeah, 100%. So about 25% of our sales are derived from retail sales. But the real kind of driver of the business is what we call PLN Plus. So they would be qualifying you, asking you, hey, tell me a little bit about your nutritional strategy today. And most people, when asked that question, we find an opportunity. Then we move them right into the consultation. And really, we had to really operationalize the consultation process. So we created something called the CLEAR framework. So we connect. It's the first thing we want to do. So what brought you into here today? Why is it important to you? And the next thing we knew, we tell them the good news. Lay the groundwork. So it's like, hey, we help people just like you every single day. Then it's explore. Hey, tell me about your activity levels, because all of these things go into the information we need to make a recommendation. Then we assess the lean body or the InBody 270. We use that information. The most important number is the basal metabolic rate, how many calories you burn at rest. And then we recommend, right? So then it feels like they're not there buying lunch. They're there. We want to solve something for them. So to solve something for them, we have to establish that there's a gap in where we can support them and identify that. And so what we try, and we would do that for anybody. So that's a free to anybody, even if they don't sign up. But then we make a recommendation to try to see if we can meet them where they are. And there's no commitment because we don't want to have like handcuffs on them. We want them to be so impressed and supported by what we do that they want to stay.
Okay.
And talk to us about,
No,
Yo, go ahead. Go. You sure?
I'm going to go if one of you doesn't go.
Catherine, you're up.
I was just going to flip it a little bit. Like, talk to us about the staffing model. Like, what does that look like? And who's the
for sure.
Like, who are you hiring? How many people are in the store? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the good news is we don't have any like specialized labor model, right? And we try to keep it lean. And my first wave of franchise partners were, things have diversified a little bit. First wave was like these, there were other gym guys who, had a lot of passion, maybe not a lot of capital or business acumen, but they were heavily invested. And early in our system, like, passion filled the gaps. We're like figuring things out. And as we get further down the road, we found that a lot of our candidates and a lot of our current franchisees wanted to have a GM model, right? So this is kind of a lead the leader type model. We have educators, which are like our frontline people. We have what's called a key lead, which is essentially the best educator that ever walked the earth. And then we have a GM, or if it's going to be an owner operator, they would hold that seat. And even our highest performing store may have 7 employees and maybe 3 of them are full time. So the good news about our business is as it accelerates and as your revenue accelerates, like, it doesn't take that many more people to go and grab a box of food and sit down and talk to somebody for 10 minutes.
What do you guys show in your item 19, Tim?
Yeah. So we just submitted, so you can get into this, which we want to keep it cost effective. Like, everything we do is value engineering. We want to make this open to the most amount of people. So I think it's $254 to $354 all in. Top third of the system's doing 1.2. Our C students doing 700. We got a couple guys trying to figure it out.
Of course.
Top line store. So in our item 19, we have our HQ store. It did 1.8 last year at a 24% EBITDA. It's done that for like 7 years in a row.
Where is that located again? Where's
That's
that
in
located?
Rochester, New York. And if you know anything about the world, this is kind of a gritty place. Like, my feelings are, if it can work here, it can work anywhere with the right operator.
Okay. And then when I walk, so the reason I'm going to ask this is we had another franchise on a few weeks ago called HB Protein Smoothies. And their whole sort of focus is every smoothie's 250 calories or less, 35 grams of protein to 50 grams of protein, and it tastes like ice cream. They've got their own proprietary blend. I promise I'm not trying to sell another franchise on your podcast. The reason I'm setting it up to ask about the smoothie portion of Project Lean Nation. When I walk into a Project Lean Nation and I'm picking up my meals, if I want to get a smoothie, is it the same sort of thing? You guys make it there, or is it pre-made? How does that work?
Great question. So for one, we would always call it a shake, because the kind of to the consumer, a smoothie might be something in their mind has added sugars and things like that, right? So what we do is we have about 8 standardized shakes that would do anything from like, hey, I need some energy, I'm post-workout, meal replacement. So we walk them through that. And all the shakes are going to be in the 40 plus grams of protein, because we feel that that's what you can metabolize in a single serving. And they taste amazing. And people stand in line for
the orange one, amazing.
And
so good.
So like, if a store that does, $1 million and 25% of their retail is going to be, or 25% of the revenue is going to be retail, half of that is shakes. And it's like low barrier of entry, super high margin. And it's when somebody comes in, they're coming in. Another thing that's important is 80% of our member base, they come in to pick up in a time when everybody wants everything delivered. So we know that the member experience is sticky, but when they come in, the first thing we say is, hey, we're going to go grab your box. What shake would you like? So they, it's implied in it drives the lifetime value, which we're not chasing money, but lifetime value is a affect of retention, and retention means results for our clients.
So given 80% of people come in to pick up, if I'm coming in as a franchise owner, what does your territories look like? When, when do you set up another one? What does that look like? Like, what's the radius around the store?
I do leave most of those decisions to the pros. So we did a white space analysis. We invested heavily in Site Zeus and identified how far people were traveling to come to our stores, which was actually less than I thought. But we provided territory.
5 miles, 10?
Yeah, it's like 3 miles.
And for all of you listening, Tim is partnered with a group called Limitless Franchise Group, which has a incredible team that have been in franchising for years. They franchised concepts like Club Pilates, like Yoga 6, Cycle Bar. So, I mean, this is a group of serious heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So, Tim, you partnered with some of the best. We've worked with them for years. So, yeah, I mean, this, you know, it's so interesting. Jill and I have always worked out really consistently, but we, after our son was born, we had a couple of years, and then maybe after COVID, we had a couple of years where we kind of went up in weight. We got a little bit more puffy. And it really, when we changed our diet, when we focused on more protein forward things, which is why when I saw Kennedy flip the food chart upside down, I'm like, thank you. Because all these things that our doctors told us to run from for years, you know, healthy fats, steaks, you know, eggs, don't eat eggs. Oh my God. So my doctor told me a couple of years ago, hey, you know, Jack, you're almost 50. It's time to stop eating eggs and stop eating steak and go more vegetarian. So I, of course, do that. And what happens? My cholesterol goes up, my blood pressure goes up. And so
were you living on vegetarian pizza? Is that what you were doing though? Vegetarian pizza?
I wouldn't go that far. Go that far.
I know you. I know.
Okay, but so check this out, Catherine. I don't know if you've heard the story. So I started seeing this doctor on Instagram say, don't listen to this stuff. Eat 3 eggs a day. Eat steak, you know, 4 or 5 times a week. So I'm like, you know what? I'll try it. I lost 20 pounds. Go to the doctor. Cholesterol's down like 50 points. Ever since I started focusing on good, high quality, grass-fed protein, lots more shakes, it totally changed my life. My workouts are the same. So nutrition, the reason I'm saying this in such a long-winded fashion is this is why I love concepts like Project Lean Nation, is nutrition is really the difference in your health and wellness.
It's so true. And I have totally 3 hard-boiled eggs waiting for me upstairs. Like they're ready to go. I'm not kidding. Speaking of
when I was at the last conference I was at was right around the time they made that change to the food pyramid. And what was really great about that is it's validated the foundation that we built this whole company on. And I eat steak every day. And I feel like a healthy guy. But for our consumers, we see a lot of this too. Like people come in with a goal, and it's really rewarding to help take them there or provide that vehicle. So for like a partner, like, and me personally, there's so much equity in helping somebody accomplish something that maybe they think they can't on their own. And I think that like that is a key differentiator for our business, because you can find money lots of places, but if you're looking for impact and something that can scale, this is it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think I own Soccer Stars, which, you know, Jack, they introduced me to. And, you know, for me, community impact was huge. Leaving the world a better place, you know, then when I found it is huge. So I love Project Lean Nation because it's a win-win. Like it's like soccer for kids. It's teaching healthy habits, all these things. They're getting out, they're running, they're making friends. Project Lean Nation, like if I'm the owner of that, being able to impact, you know, people's health and their longevity. And then you speak about the goals and you're talking about, you know, adults, but if I'm the customer, like my kids, like talk about the piece, like the kids eat these meals, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like so many families get more meals so they can share them with their children, because at the end of the day, like we're all trying to buy a little bit of time, right? So not only are they improving their health, they're buying a little time and convenience, and they're not at Chick-fil-A. Not that you should never be at Chick-fil-A, but you know, so many parents make decisions based on limited time and convenience when they really want to make, you know, better decisions, and we can help them do that.
So I eat like a kid. I'm very picky, and I've always had issues with a lot of like the pre-made meals because I'm picky. There's certain things in there. So how, like, can I customize my meals, or is it just a menu? Like, how does that work to ensure that like you keep someone maybe who's more difficult like me on board?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that if we learned anything, taste and flavor is very personal. right? So we had to create an ever evolving menu. So we have two product lines. We have the lifestyle and we have the athlete. And the athlete is just 1.5 times the portion for people who want a bigger, more protein, things like that. But our core menu is 24 meals. And when I started the business, I was like heavy into the CrossFit community. So I was like, everybody has to eat paleo. And if they don't, then they'll get out of here. But as time went on, we started putting ourselves in positions where kind of like the diet of the month came up, and we started having to figure out how to educate people on how to tell the difference or the benefits of either. So we threw that out the window. Everything we do is backed by science, dietitian approved, and we do something that's close to the zone diet. And then within these 24 SKUs, we'll have meals that are dairy-free, grain-free, plant-based. So we cover all the kind of most strategies. And then in terms of flavor, so we have a huge culinary team that is always doing R&D, and we're trying to identify what people love to eat and try to make the healthiest version of it. So in our app, we have in a menu cycle, which is about 8 or 10 weeks, we have like 5,000 pieces of feedback that come to us. So it kind of tells us, and we ask our community, what would you like to see? And then we rotate out the meals, and we turn that also into a major marketing strategy, because we have people that are leads that we want to engage. We have people that are with us that we want to re-engage. And then we have members that get what you would call like menu fatigue. So if we say, hey, a new menu is coming, it gives them something to look forward to. And we have lots of picky folks, and it's interesting. We can watch the behaviors of how they select meals, because some people might get 24 meals and they only get 2 different meals and they eat the same thing all the time. And then some people get 1 of each.
One thing I love, like, so in the retail space, Jill, they have the menus like up on the walls. So you have the picture, the carbs, like all the nutritional details and what's in them. And for me, I'm such a visual person. So I really enjoyed that, because like, I don't know, if I just heard what it was versus not, I don't know. I just think that was a really brilliant marketing piece and way to engage people. You can take it off the wall, talk about it, right?
I want to share a quick story about that. So when I first started this model, I would put all these coolers in the store, and we put the meals in there and people would grab the meals. And then COVID kicked off, and we had to eliminate that process. So like for a retail person, rather than coming in to grab 2 or 3, we put the pictures on the wall and we gave them a form, right? And guess what happened? They bought way more meals because they didn't have to hold them in their hands when they were making their selection. So we learned that the limit in which they were buying is how much they could carry. So it's like we had all these little learnings that came from the front lines. That came from a franchise partner.
Do you remember? So when Jill and I when we were just kind of starting off our married life in downtown San Diego, we used to go to a gym called Fit. And
deals.
Fit was awesome because it like overlooked Petco Park. So you could go watch a baseball game. Anyways, I'm kind of, the point is that they would sell these meals and you would pick them up like every Tuesday and Thursday, and they were okay. But for us at that time, it was so great because we were both, young, working full-time jobs, not a lot of time, not very good cooks at the time. So it really worked out really well. I think these are all so fabulous. And it's so, again, you imagine you could bring something like this to your town when there are so many food franchises out there that are not providing healthy meals. This is something you could really feel good about. And with those numbers in the item 19, this is something your bank could feel good about. And I'll tell all you guys that, what we love so much about our team, Catherine is the one who went out there, who really went and looked at this thing. Catherine's always out there researching franchises for us, going and meeting people so that we can bring this stuff to you guys. And so I just think this is excellent. And Tim, I will tell you that we have never been so busy as franchise consultants in our life as we have this year. I think AI is changing things, but the reason I'm saying this to you is most of our leads come to us looking for health, wellness, longevity businesses to the tune of sometimes, 20 people a day, 50 people a day saying, please help me find a health, wellness, longevity franchise. So this is very much in need right now. So your timing is perfect. And for all of you listening, if you want more information, definitely text us at 305-710-0050. We'd love to get you in touch with Tim's team so you can learn more. But Tim, we got to talk about some spicy stuff, dude. I got to know.
Let's go.
What was it like? What is prison actually like?
No,
It was an adjustment.
Okay, first of all, what is the food like?
The food is the worst, right? And but I was living a great life, and all of a sudden I was in the biggest federal prison in the United States, Fort Dix, New Jersey. The bow on it is 10 years later, I went back and opened a store right down the street from there in Marlton, New Jersey. But I'll share this. When I was there, it took me less time to adjust being there than to coming home, because it's like Groundhog Day. You just do the same thing every day. And I'm like a disciplined guy. So, I just go to the library, I take the shower, I fold the towel, I read the book, and time goes on. And I also think that I like to have a good time. I'm a positive guy, and I have a good time. After 60 days, it was like nothing. I had a couple friends. I just lived life. The things that were really difficult, that you think there's going to be all this violence and things like that, and that does exist. But the things that you don't prepare yourself for is when your family gets sick and you miss your kids. And those are the things that were really difficult. And I'm thankful to the people that supported me when I came home. And I also think without that kind of season of my life, none of this would have happened. And now what we're experiencing today puts a bunch of meaning behind something that I didn't even have the courage to bring up in the past. So thank you for asking.
We have we've got a good friend who he was injured in combat, severely injured, to the point that a lot of people who would have had his same injuries might not have come back. He was told he couldn't he lost both his legs. And so he was told pretty much they couldn't fit him for prosthetics because of the extent of his injuries. The only way they could do it is if he could regrow, what was it, like a quarter of an inch of his femur or something like that. So he went to work, he figured all of it out, and he did. He regrew that portion of his femur, and now he walks on prosthetics. You would never know. This guy, we went to Baha Mar, Kathy, you remember we met you in Baha too, which is a resort in the Bahamas. And when you go on these water slides, you have to walk up like 10 stories of stairs.
Oh yeah, I was winded.
He goes with just his arms. And the reason I bring this up, Tim, I bring this up because Tim, you took an experience that could really set a lot of people back, right? And you came out positive and you built something. And it just goes to show why entrepreneurship is such a great path. Because if you have the desire, if you have the discipline, if you want to change your life, there's no better path than entrepreneurship. And I'm not saying it's easy. We all in this room know that there are hard parts. But again, I'll go back to lessons with Trey. When we go on these walks with Trey, we always have these conversations. Dad, how am I able to come back to, a fancy resort or drive a cool car, have a great house when I'm older? How can I make a lot of money? And I think the most simple answer I can give him is build, scale, and sell a business.
Yes.
And I think it's the meaning too. I think, with a lot of these corporate jobs or, any job that you don't own the business yourself, it's like you're going through the motions. And I think like, when I talk to, most of my friends, right, work in corporate America a lot for the tech companies in San Francisco. Obviously, I'm in the Bay Area. They have great jobs. They get paid well. But the meaning, they are going through the motions. They are doing the bare minimum I have these conversations and it's like, wow, life is so much more than that. Like life, I don't know. For me, I want to experience the most joy and make the most positive impact I can. I mean, and that's just me that I can in this world. And when you're working for someone else, that's really hard, I think, to find.
I can share this. So like our highest performing franchise partners, all the people that have joined our mission today, purpose and meaning is important to them. And they've experienced the other side of it. And this is a great vehicle for that. And anybody who spends time with myself and my team, it like oozes out of us because this wasn't a business for me. It felt like a responsibility and it felt like a comeback. And I invest my whole heart into it.
I love that. And I love that you were saying, you kind of invest in these people that come in too. Like you want to see their progress and then they're so thankful to you too. It's more than just thank you for giving me healthy food. Like you can actually change their life by doing this. And that's such like an amazing feeling. When, even if it's one or two people call and say like, thank you so much, like I finally can keep up with my kids or, whatever their health goal was and they reach it or are, approaching it. It's such a good feeling inside. So it's, it's kind of like you kind of get it all in one.
Well, on the other side, the other side of this too is, Tim, there are so many people who now are utilizing, Ozempic, GLPs, and they don't have the appetite, right? But they still need to get the right amount of protein. They still need to work out. And so your meals these aren't massive meals. So for people that are, on these types of peptides, it's a great solution because your body still needs all that protein. You still got to get 0.7 grams of protein per pound. And so, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This fits today's lifestyle.
Yeah. And I can speak to that a little bit too, because when I just read an article that they've written 100 million prescriptions for GLP-1s. And when it first came out, I would be lying if I didn't think I was a little concerned about it. But as I did more research, one of the downsides is it has an impact on skeletal muscle mass, which is the number one marker for health span, longevity. So nutrient-dense, high-protein meals aren't optional for them. They're essential.
Yeah, it's so true. And again, I think and what's interesting is the health benefits from GLPs beyond just weight loss, like reducing inflammation, improving blood pressure, things like that. So the point is, this brand, Project Lean Nation, I think is a great investment for so many reasons. It is fitting with today's consumer. And you're doing something good for people. You're working with good people. It's just a win the whole way around. And we are seeing, again, like I said, this space explode. So I'm so glad we could have you on the podcast today. Tim, what haven't we asked? That's an important thing for people to know.
I think there is something that I'd like to hit home. And when I started this is about supporting people in a unique way. And I think that's important for any candidate that's looking at any system, that support is critical. And it's not like we're like putting up fences one day and supporting franchisees the next. The same framework that we utilize to support someone through a health journey is the same framework we utilize to support a franchise partner. So it essentially all the same levers. They have goals. We have a system. We support them through the timeline. It's the same thing. So I think for anybody out there that support is important to them in their journey in business ownership, that's foundational to what we do in our core business. So I think that's a great consideration.
Oh, that's why people buy franchises. They want the support. They want the tell me what I'm going to do to grow this business step by step by step by step. And let's make sure we're checking in on a weekly basis and I'm hitting my numbers. And the great thing about franchising is everybody's goals are aligned. You guys as a franchisor want your franchisees' royalties to be as high as possible. In turn,
they gotta win.
Royalties high, the franchisee's revenue has to be as high as possible. Everybody's goals are perfectly aligned. And that's what makes it so different from corporate America, is that in corporate America, hey, we're going to pay you 150 grand a year and we're going to grind you into the ground. With franchising, it is, we are going to work together and we all are going to achieve by achieving maximum results. And the nice thing is, if someone buys a Project Lean Nation and it isn't for them, they can sell it to another Project Lean Nation franchisee who really gets it, who's great at it. So this sort of built-in sort of infrastructure is there for people from all walks of life, which is what makes the franchise model so great.
Agreed.
Catherine, what else? What have we not covered that you think we should cover?
I mean, just to hit home again on the support, and the leadership. Tim, I love your leadership style. You're so positive. You're inspirational. That's huge. It's having like an executive team that's going to continue to innovate, push the boundaries. It's not just about selling franchises. That's very clear. That's not what you're about. You're about making a difference and supporting your owners and helping them succeed. And so that's super important. And when I hear franchises and Jack and Jill and our team aren't supporting their franchises well, because it happens, I'm not going to recommend that franchise. So that's crucial. And I think I did have a question, what was there a life lesson you learned in prison that you apply to your business today? I
have a PhD in patience. So I think that I had to, sitting on the bunk thinking about your life and what you're going to do, it gave me, I think, a longer vision for what I was going to do next. I'm not thinking day to day. Like I know how to do the time. And I think that that gave me the perseverance. And I think that I had a small group of people who believed in me, and I just want to prove them right. And I work hard every day to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
It's so cool. Tim, this has been awesome. I think our audience is absolutely going to love all this great content. How can people find Project Lean Nation? How should they contact you directly?
Yeah, if they want to check out the business, they can check out projectleannation.com. If they want to send me an email, tim@projectleannation.com. Or if they want to learn about my life, PLN Tim on Instagram.
Excellent. And all we ask at the Franchise Insiders is if you learn about Project Lean Nation through this podcast, please just let them know that you did find them through us. We'd be forever grateful for that and for your subscription. Tim, this has been wonderful. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Well, I think this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Okay.
Tim.
Well, I think we've said it all. For today's episode, I'm Jack Johnson.
I'm Jill Johnson.
And we'll talk to you next time on the We Bought a Franchise podcast. Thank you.
Bye.
We bought a franchise. We bought a franchise. We bought a franchise.